All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. So today we are doing the build refresh 2022 for Mag. Mag, haven't talked about her in a while. Basically, the only thing I've talked about with Mag recently has been that she is a stellar starter. So if you found this video and you're wondering whether or not you should start as Mag, I think that Mag is an excellent starter, and that Exgal is also a good starter, and Volt I probably wouldn't pick. So if you're here for that kind of opinion, that's what's up. But otherwise, Mag stuff later on. Now, later on, as a non-starter, I think Mag in general has some issues in terms of her kind of being like a very involved frame with what you need to do in order to keep her alive. Because even with her ability to generate shields from multiple of her abilities, she can have quite a bit of trouble living, and she has to spend most of her time, I would say, focusing on just staying alive and constantly refreshing that shield gate and bumping up her shields. Now, this build is basically entirely focused around using Magnetize, and also we happen to have the stats that we built for Magnetize anyway, that also is highly beneficial to use with Breach Surge, which helps with our survivability, and also means that we don't have to run the Counter Pulse Augment for her 3, because the stun that we're going to get out of Breach Surge is going to be more than enough, so we don't need to constantly be casting R3 for the stun, because we're going to be constantly getting the blind out of Breach Surge, which also notably lasts way, way longer and gives us more damage overall. So that's what we have subsumed on here. Pull in general is just not super helpful at keeping enemies in Magnetize, and will more often than not pull a bunch of enemies out of Magnetize, and that's just not what we're trying to do here. And for that, we are using Magnetized Discharge. So this allows you to do two things. It allows you to pop your bubbles, which can be a positive or a negative depending, but also this gives us an extra 45% magnetized range, which is basically an additional copy of Stretch specifically for R2. And because the bubble does start quite small, and it's honestly our area of survivability, we want it to be pretty big. So you can go without this, but I think I've decided that I do like having it in here. And even though sometimes I will turn a bubble off when I don't mean to, it still is of benefit just to have the much larger bubble at like very little cost. And sometimes getting the bubble out of your way is also beneficial. For all the spam casting we're going to be doing, between casting Breach Surge and constant Magnetizes and throwing Crush in there every once in a while for the knockdown and also the shield regeneration, we are using Natural Talent. Being able to do these things very, very fast also will make up for any mistakes you might make with turning off your bubbles, because you can very, very quickly get them back up and running. We don't need a ton of duration, because the duration on bubbles are actually fantastic. They last about 24 seconds, and that's going to be really solid with just Prime Continuity in here, which gives us some room for adaptation. Adaptation is very helpful, especially on non-steel paths, so you have to worry considerably less about Mag's survivability. If you have adaptation running in non-steel path, you might need to cast your 4 like 2 or 3 times, but once you've done that, you'll have taken enough damage that you will be taking a incredibly insignificant amount of damage suddenly, because you'll have about 2,000 shields usually, and with 90% damage reduction on 2,000 shields, that's going to be more than enough to get you through any kind of regular content with little to no worries. In terms of arcanes, we're running Energize, which is just nice because it just keeps us topped off on energy, though it is not required by any means. This build also has room for Streamline, but if you feel like you want less duration, which some people do, Fleeting also will just fit right in here, and you can have very high efficiency if you feel like you are falling behind. Also, Aegis, we're constantly taking shield damage in here, and we're constantly able to regen our shields, and whenever Aegis procs, we're going to be invincible for 12 seconds, essentially, so that's super solid. Outside of that, things you can do on this build. Instead of Intensify, you can run the Umbral Intensify. The additional strength is going to basically make absolutely no difference whatsoever. And in terms of like the Forma that are in this build, you do not need this much Forma. Very clearly, you do not need this much Forma. I have 3 in here, not required at all. Also, in terms of the aura, I think technically you probably would prefer Growing Power, but it honestly doesn't matter too much, and I just have Enemy Radar in here. Curse Projection is fine. Any generically good aura is going to work well with Mag. As for weapon stuff, because it does matter for Mag, there are a great number of choices. You can obviously just baseline take any good gun, and it will do fine with Mag. The Archiplasmor is the gun that I have found is the good gun already that works well with Mag, as this projectile from the Archiplasmor will fire into her bubble and spin around it in the middle, hitting the enemies until they are dead, because it does have infinite enemy punch through. It will dissipate on walls and such, depending on the positioning of your bubble, and you don't really get to decide that. So there is that to consider. But the Archiplasmor is just a generally fantastic weapon, and it works well with Mag. Other things that are of note. Glaive Prime works well with the grouping abilities of Mag. R2 is not like the best thing in the world at grouping, but it does group them. And if you throw your glaive at them, they're going to die. Other melee weapons. The Stropha works fantastically for this. It's a nice wide blast gunblade. Works really well inside of her bubbles for clearing out every enemy that currently exists inside them, and it will also charge up her bubbles to a great degree. Other than that, just a secondary or primary, depending on, what your switch up is, that's good at dealing with the acolytes or other tough enemies is definitely advised, although the Archiplasmor obviously is good at doing that anyway. So yeah, basically for Mag, the whole thing is that, like, she has her own defined playstyle. And I really think that she could use like a few buffs to like being able to be more flexible with that, or some survivability increases for her, maybe an additional effect on one of her abilities somewhere. Because as it stands right now, you are going to put in a lot of effort to get similar results to what other frames do with like very little put into it. But a lot of people do just really enjoy this playstyle. For me personally, not on that list, but just make a bubble and make the gun go burr, make it go zoom, and then have the bubble explode and deal damage in a large AoE around it. That's definitely appealing for a good number of people. As you saw with the Archiplasmor, that was from no stacks on the Arcane on the Archiplasmor. It definitely will vaporize anything that is not in the Steel Path that you hit this with. But yeah, that's Mag. Enjoy the Steel Path run. This is another one that I did on stream. Just talking about the build is just like one of the testing runs, and it's what I ended up going with. I will see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the Steel Path run. All right, round 2, different helmet. Let's see if this one makes it to YouTube. Here we go. Dear Valkyrie player, the rework happened. It was Sevagoth. Time for E4 to get white girl wine wasted. Jesus. Matthias, thank you for the resub. Appreciate it.
Scans show Grenier harvesting Kuva.
Oh yeah,
nearby.
very close though.
Set off the alarms to draw them out, then steal
All
their
right.
Kuva catalysts. Predictable.
Yeah, Mag 2,
As
Electric
expected,
Boogaloo.
Grenier have shut down the environmental systems, sending
The gold
modified
you're
life
using?
split capsules. Use
I
these
forget what
to
it is.
sustain
Should be
your
in the...
environment, or attach Kuva catalysts to begin harvesting.
See, this right here, this is bullshit. Enemies just being able to walk through the bubble. It's one of the most bullshit things about being Mag. It's like, what do you mean they walked through it? I don't understand. How did they walk through the fucking magnetic epicenter? It's like an enemy simply walking out of Vauban's for. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine the disdain? Oh, you know what I just realized? Whenever we threw on the 2 augment, it does make it so that it,
Tenno, prepare for life support.
I think I'm probably actually going to turn off the, or get rid of the 2 augment from the build. Because what it's doing is it's making me collapse the bubbles when I don't want to in some cases. The Korra's Dome only caught people on cast. Oh my god, what a useless ability, can you imagine?
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
I mean, the Archiplasmor is doing just fantastic. The sad thing about this is that, like, this isn't better than just using a Warframe with survivability in the Archiplasmor. Because I'm spending so much time being safe that, like, I'm not spending all of my time killing. And like the damage from like Mags 2 can be made to be good, but like you really don't need it. What about using Ensnare or Larva to yank enemies into the bubbles? That's just not worth it. Like plain and simple. Like the like effort to go through for that is just like not great. Like the most satisfying thing here is like this interaction with the Archoplasmor to make the funny numbers go spin. What if the bubble also gave shields? Oh, now you mention it. This would be fine if it wasn't awkward. Yeah, that's true. Like if you could just set down like big epicenters where like the bubble's happening, because then you would build max range. Because right now, if you build max range, it's just like kind of useless. But if you could like build max range and like I could just walk into a room, set it here, enemies can't hurt me, and then any damage dealt like in the bubble like blew out through walls to kill enemies. Yeah, that would be crazy and very good. Anyways, I'm just thinking about it. Like usual. Is that when the update with the focus changes is coming? Yes. That's the end of the month. Yeah, the end of the month is, well, the 27th more specifically, is going to be the focus changes update and also the, like, insanely other more content. They can only get you in trouble. Oh, that's so true. Maybe you could just cast the one on the bubble and had, like, minor pull through to handle terrain. Sure. And it's one of those things where it's like this play style is like there's people that like it though. So and it's not like this is bad, right? I mean, like obviously like what I'm doing, like this is totally fine. Like this is absolutely very playable. And there's nothing wrong with this. It is arguably better just to use the one that I have subsumed, which is Breach Surge, and not use the two. But that's okay. We're not going to think about that.
When you need it, extraction is ready.
Like the thing that we're not going to do is think about it too hard. That's just not what Mag's here to do. Mag's here to make you think about how magnets work, and anything outside of that it's all a bonus. The Eximus Rework might shit on this build. Oh, no. Here's the thing about that. Oh, it will. It will shit on this build. I'm very worried about the life of a number of Warframes who are mid right now in the face of the Eximus Rework, because a lot of those frames that are mid have like questionable survivability. And that questionable survivability becomes like, you died. Which is not good. Because the whole thing about dying is that if you're dead, you're not killing them. But that's always been like the greater math to do, right? In terms of like Warframe. Is like, am I alive? Yes, no. If yes, is enemy dead? And I know that sounds like, yeah, of course, idiot. That's super rudimentary. But like a lot of people aren't fucking doing that math like at all. That feels good though. To hit the Acolyte with that, that's funny. That's funny number go burn. You're gonna turn people to ICP listeners asking how magnets work. It's fair. Hey, I'm here to tell you that my taste in music is not good, and I do like one ICP song at least. Although I actually could not tell you, like, in an intricate way why. I think it's just because I heard it whenever I was not aged. You need to black out the energy for bitrate. Oh no, it'll be fine. If you can't see what's happening, that's how you know it's working. Do you like Imagine Dragons? Oh, Imagine Dragon these nuts on your face? I do imagine that. Oh man. That's the thing about all of the fucking D's nuts and all that, is that like when somebody says it, you could just hit them with the punchline. That's the danger, is that you get D's nuts whenever you attempt to D's nuts someone and they know. Oh, man. I'm just thinking about Imagine Dragon these nuts and I almost died. That's what you do! Oh, God! Mirror Force! Look at me. It's crazy. I'm doing Parazon finishers. Also, nobody actually likes listening to Imagine Dragons. Yeah, they had the one song that people seem to like recently, the one that was on the Arcane. God, I sound like a fucking, like, 95-year-old. What's that song called, though? It's whatever the intro song is to Arcane. On the Nintendo. Just enemy? Okay. Man, you know, old-timey talk has got to come back in. It's like ripped jeans. It'll be back in fashion to be like, oh yeah, you know, the old Nintendo. Tallywhacker. It's gonna happen. Just trust me. It's not gonna happen. Oh yeah, that one. That's the legendary one. I will never not laugh. Did you know Steve Jobs died of Ligma? And then the response is, who the hell is Steve Jobs? Ligma balls is just... Oh. It's just so funny. Yeah, Red, please link that in the chat. That video is... Oh, man. It's so good. Ripped jeans aren't in fashion, sorry to tell you. No, but they, like, left and came back, like, twice now. How long are you planning on going for? Oh, 10 minutes. I was just like waiting for like the second acolyte to show up. That's really more so what it is. Rather than 10 minutes, what it usually is just a second acolyte. Like more so than any like scientific shit. This run seems to have gone pretty well though. It's almost like Breach Surge is incredible and Wisp is good for a hilarious amount of good reasons. Can you believe they power crept Excal's blind? Breaches surged. Oh, here we go. Here's the second guy. Oh, it's Dickhead, though. It's fucking Knuckles from the new Sonic movie. You think I need your power? Yes. In fact, you're using it at current, dickhead. Ah, fucking hell. I had procs on me or whatever. Ah, Christ. Whatever. Mag's super squishy. We all know it. Sometimes that enemy shows up and also uses your ability. That's a net nothing. It's like whenever two decks in a card game fight each other. No matter what, the win rate of that deck is the same. Yeah, Malice sucks. All right, there we go. But Acolytes do different stuff. They do indeed do different stuff. It's a true fact. Eximus Rework, nerf CC. Players, stop using frames that need CC. DE, why is Wukong even more popular? That's probably what's going to happen. Anyway, those of you on YouTube, hello, goodbye. Mad.